This is a very important full moon in Sagittarius message for anyone who has Taurus in their first house. And this is not according to Western astrology, but this is according to Vedic astrology. So let me tell you really quick about the full moon and what it means for you, especially Taurus rising. So the full moon in Sagittarius is going to be in your 8th house of secrets and sex. Okay, this is very important. And you also will have that's what your 8th house represents, secrets and sex. And then you have Sagittarius there, which represents truth and freedom. Okay, now you have the full moon in Sagittarius, which represents illumination, and it represents a lot of the time the truth can be revealed with the new moon, especially if it's in the 8th house. I just got done walking. I'm still kind of walking. The birds, you might still hear the birds chirping and my dogs barking, but I had to get this message out. Okay, so that's what's going on with the full moon in Sagittarius. Now, across from the full moon in Sagittarius in your 8th house, you have the Sun, Venus, and Mercury in your 2nd house. So let me break that down for you real quick. Okay, so in your the Sun represents enlightenment and healing. Okay, and Gemini represents communication and listening. Okay, and Venus represents young women or women. Now, in Vedic astrology, what's really important is that you understand the nakshatras. So the nakshatra that Venus is in is called Mrigashira. Okay, and Mrigashira, the myth behind it is a father who chased his daughter in a way that he shouldn't have. Okay, and it has a lot to do with people in families doing things to each other that they shouldn't. Okay, remember what I said, the 8th house was where the full moon is, what it represents sex. Okay, so that being said, also let me go into the 2nd house. The 2nd house represents your voice. Okay, not really what you say, but it represents your voice. It represents your value. Okay, it represents your money and also your father's side of the family. Okay, now hopefully I said everything. That being said, if it's very important, if two things, if a young woman comes to you during the energy of the full moon, so the full moon is today, but if a young woman came to you 3 days before today, or if she comes to you 3 days after today, that's still the energy of the full moon, and she wants to share with you that something horrible has happened to her from a father figure or even a mother figure, because the moon represents a mother, but especially a father figure, if or someone from her father's side of the family, if she communicates to you, Gemini with Venus, make sure that you listen to her, because it's going to affect your life, because Venus is your first lord. Venus rules Taurus. Okay, so listening to her, communication is going to help her become free during this full moon in Sagittarius, and it's also going to change your life and give you some type of aspect of freedom too. On the other hand, if you are the girl who was abused in that way, this is a really good time for you to embrace your freedom from that horrible situation and communicate with someone who you trust. Okay, you have to communicate and let it out so you can get your freedom. Even if you're an adult woman, and this is something that happened to you when you were a young girl, now it's time to get your freedom and communicate and get your voice back and get your value back. Now it's time to communicate what happened to you so you can become free. Be careful who you communicate it to, but you have to communicate it, okay? And that's really what I wanted to say, and I will talk to you later.